Mailbag time here on the Cleveland Browns Report, answering questions from our live show, which aired Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Is that from Get Hard? Mayo, would Travis Kelce ever come to Cleveland to retire a Brown? Travis Kelce from Northeast Ohio, from Cleveland Heights. Would he ever come to Cleveland to retire a Brown? Probably not. I don't think that's because he doesn't want to play for the Browns. He has talked about how he loved the Browns growing up and all that stuff, but ultimately, he just screams Kansas City Chief for life. And if that means Kansas City holds on to him for an extra year when maybe he's washed in a few years, they'll do it because he's been that important to them. So unless Kelce wants to come play for the Browns and he opts to leave Kansas City to do so, I don't think that's likely going to happen. But it would be cool. There's no doubt about it. So this got me thinking, though. Who's the better tight end? Travis Kelce or Rob Gronkowski? I think Gronk is the overall better tight end, but Kelce's going to have a better career because Gronk suffered so many injuries. But if the two guys play the same amount of games, I think Gronk is a little bit more of a impactful tight end than Kelce. But we're talking 199 overall. Levi Mayfield, I wouldn't be upset if they pick up Calvin Ridley, to be honest. Ooh, Levi. Let's talk about Calvin Ridley. I think the Jags are going to bring him back, but if they do bring him back, they owe the Falcons a second rounder. So if they're not in love with Calvin Ridley, they could let him walk so they don't have to give up a second rounder for a player that they're kind of on the fence about. But I'd be interested in Calvin Ridley. I do think he possesses some great vertical threats, and that would complement Amari Cooper. I think Calvin Ridley would be a sneaky free agent target to watch for. I don't know if I want to be the team that pays him, kind of like what the Jags paid Christian Kirk, but I could have some interest in Calvin Ridley. There are other guys I like more, but ultimately, if the Browns get priced out of people like Mike Evans, maybe Calvin Ridley's a sneaky target to watch for. So I can get behind Calvin Ridley, but he's not at the top of my priority list. Lil Beam, what do you think about the Browns drafting Xavier Legette, the wide receiver from South Carolina? He had a really tough Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl combination performance, if I recall correctly. What do I think about it? I'd be open to it in maybe the third round. I'm getting very, very mixed reports on where to expect the Gamecock to go. I don't think he's going to go round 1. Could go round 2, could go round 3. I think there are better options, though. I like Franklin out of Oregon more. He's just not very high up in my personal draft ranking. So what do I think about it? If it's an early day 3 pick, yeah, I can sell myself on it. If it's the Browns' first pick, I'm not going to be too jazzed up about it, but I'll watch some more film and maybe I'll have a different opinion by April. Joshua Miller, would swap signing Mike Evans for Michael Pittman, younger and maybe cheaper? Definitely younger, definitely cheaper, but Mike Evans. Like, are we really about to go, hey, if we're going to go all in, let's fucking go all in, right? Pardon my French, but I understand Michael Pittman will have a longer career at this point than Mike Evans will. I mean, like, how many years he has left in the tank. But if we're talking about let's make a big blockbuster move, then let's go make a big blockbuster move, right? If you're going to buy an expensive car, get the best trim. Like, go get the best tires. Don't half-ass something expensive. Don't go to a steakhouse if you plan on ordering chicken because you don't want to pay for the prime rib. No. If you're going to go there, ball out. If you're going to spend $22 million on a wide receiver, spend $25 million and get the wide receiver you want. I'd rather see Mike Evans in Cleveland. Josh, I do appreciate the question. Ryan Chowdhury, Za'Darius Smith or Chase Young? Ooh, Ryan, give me Za'Darius Smith. I just have one too many concerns with Chase Young and some effort issues. I just cannot get that Lions Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown run out of my head. I can't get a clear answer as to what really went down in that ACL rehab process that essentially caused him to miss the entire next year. Why didn't Washington pick up his fifth-year option? And why did Montez Sweat go for more in a trade than Chase Young did? There's just some red flags that I can't ignore. And I think Za'Darius Smith fit and meshed really well with this locker room. I'd go with Za'Darius Smith. Now, before we get on to the rest of the questions on today's show, I want to tell you guys about an awesome deal over at Fanatics, which is this Brownie the Elf t-shirt right here. It's on sale, 30% off. So if you want to add to your Cleveland Browns wardrobe, go to chatsports.com/elf shirt and get this Brownie the Elf t-shirt, 30% off. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video. Tyrone. I think we give Jed too much credit. He was a first-round, number 10 pick going into his fourth season, and I'd give him a C-. I would rather try Conklin or Jones at left tackle than have Jed be the starter. Tyrone, I do agree that Jed has not been what the Browns hoped he would have been. I think he's probably a C grade. If you're still starting going into year 5, which in your hypothetical he's not, but still, there are worse picks you could make. But I definitely agree that, man, Tristan Wirfs was right there. Interesting idea about reshuffling Conklin and Dawand Jones. If you had Bill Callahan as your offensive line coach, I'd be a lot more comfortable with making that change. But this one seems like a change that might not gel very well. I know the Browns were very optimistic about his path after the bye last year. Remember, the Browns played 4 games. They went 2-2, went to the bye, came out, played the 49ers, and Jed Wills was rocky going into the bye. And Andrew Berry spoke to the media, and they're like, are we going to make a trade for tackle? He's like, no, we're not. And they stuck by Jed Wills. And Jed Wills played very well. Well, Jed Wills played better. How about that? Up until the Cardinals game. I do feel and share your frustrations of Jed Wills is not the best tackle on this team and not the second best tackle, so why don't the top 2 play? I do think there is a level of positional familiarity that might give him a longer leash at left tackle. But I hear what you're saying, Tyrone. Jacob Kistner, who will be next year's breakout players like Delpit and JOK this year? Excellent question by Kistner. So rule number 1 for breakout players, they can't be rookies. Rookies can't break out. They're just rookies. Breakout players next year. Let's go with Cedric Tillman. I like Cedric Tillman. I'm not giving up on Cedric Tillman after his rookie season. And I'll go one on defense. I wasn't very crazy about the Siaka Ika pick in the moment. And I'm still a little bit concerned about how little we saw of him in his rookie year. How about Alex Wright? I felt like Alex Wright took a good step forward in year 2. Kind of found a rhythm, found a home on the defensive line. I'll go with Alex Wright and Cedric Tillman. Cool guy called Zone. Do you think during the draft we target wide receiver more, tight end, or offensive lineman? The funny thing about the draft is people get really worked up over team needs when we do mock draft videos as a society before free agency, when in reality, your team needs are going to dramatically change when the draft rolls around because you will have gone through free agency. If the Browns go out and sign Mike Evans, they're probably not going wide receiver in round 2 anymore. But I say probably because Andrew Berry is a big-time best player available. Did he need an offensive tackle in Dawand Jones? No, but he saw a guy that had no business being there in in day 3 of the draft. So, do I think the Browns go wide receiver, tight end, or offensive lineman more? I would lean towards wide receiver because they have a bigger impact for a team trying to win in 2024. But I love the analogy that Andrew Berry used when describing their draft process, which is they are looking for horse traits, right? I'll reiterate what he said, which is there are ducks out there. Ducks can kind of swim, paddle a little bit. They can fly like 2 or 3 inches off the ground. They can waddle, but not very fast. But they can do all 3 at a very low level. Horses cannot fly. Sorry, Pegasus. They can't swim very well at all. But man, can they run. So he is looking for athletes. He is looking for prospects. He's looking for draft targets that can do something like a horse can do, run very fast. So whichever one he finds at that position that can do something very, very well, that's going to be a member of the Cleveland Browns. Prestige, worldwide. Any chance the Browns trade Jedrick Wills? I don't think it's a 0% chance, but I do not think you should get your hopes up for this one. I think the Browns internally are a much more upbeat, positive franchise on Jed Wills than the fan base is. I don't think the two are even in the same zip code, actually. I think the Browns believe in Jedrick Wills, and I think they view him as someone that is worthy of sticking around for their 5th year and seeing if he could even get a low-level contract extension. So I don't think the Browns are going to trade Jedrick Wills. I think the most likely option, which this is more just the entire offensive line in general, the most likely outcome is with the Browns having 3 starting caliber offensive linemen in Jedrick Wills, Jack Conklin, and Dawand Jones, is they don't save any money by cutting any of them. So remove that from your mind as to a way to free up cap space. It doesn't do that. It doesn't work that way. They could trade Jack Conklin after June 1 and get some cap savings, but also a team in training camp that loses their starting tackle will be much more desperate for a starting tackle. And that might be a time when the Browns strike. Otherwise, what's the worst thing the Browns can do? Hold on to all 3 and have one of them, whichever one it is, be an incredible backup after learning last year how important it is to have good depth at tackle? That doesn't sound like a very bad option to me. So I don't think the Browns are in a rush to move on from any 3 of them. But let me know, would you trade Jedrick Wills? Yes or no? Get in the comment section below and let me know what your thoughts are. Let's wrap up the show by picking a card. Trizzy Trace, what are we thinking? What are we thinking?
I'm liking the 5 of spades.
Jack of hearts.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
10 of hearts. That one's for Ray Bidding. 10 of hearts. All right. That's going to do it for us on today's mailbag. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will be sure to keep up and catch up with you guys later. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and do so. And if you are subscribed, join the Noti Gang. Click the little bell icon. That way you do not miss a single thing whenever news drops.